Welcome to Rocket Ship, the podcast where web developers learn the skills and secrets to ship awesome mobile apps. I'm Simon Graham, creator of Galaxies.dev, and today with me is Pavel Karniej. Did I say this right now?
Karniej, but it's okay. It's good.
Sorry, my Polish is not really good. Like I can swear in different languages. I know the important parts. I think there's a very common word in Poland that you use to swear, so we don't want to mention this now. But Pavel was so nice to join me on this podcast because Pavel is a software developer. Although I read your tweet that you got laid off. Is that right?
Actually, I got laid off. The company I worked for lost a crucial client, and it was a smaller software house. So I'm now talking to some people. So, but if you have interesting projects, you can hit me up on Twitter. I'd be happy to join some interesting project.
Yeah, awesome. We will definitely put your social handle in the show notes. As you're a skilled developer, as I've seen from your countless projects. So Pavel is working on a project called Fitmate, which we will definitely get into later in this conversation. But you're also doing other stuff. I just listened to music. How did it come that you have interest in music, and what are you like? Do you really mix it together, or what's the process of creating music?
It began actually much earlier than my programming career. When I was 15. Even earlier. I went to the music school. I played clarinet and saxophone a little bit for a few years. Then I was beatboxing, and then I turned music producer. I bought some equipment to make music on Ableton Studio, the popular program for making music, and lately on FL Studio. I'm just doing it for fun right now. I tried to pursue the career in music, but it wasn't really taking off, and I think I wasn't ready to do it, and I'm glad I'm changed to pursue the career in programming, because now I have I do what I want with my music, and I was at the point where I tried to be trendy about making it. So, but I'm doing it in my free time. Last year, I released a few beats, and
you do like lo-fi chill hop music, is that right?
Yes, that was last year. Yeah.
That's perfect. I should like get the license so I can use that on my streams, because
you can use it. You don't need the license. You can use it. Don't worry.
Awesome. Oh yeah, tell YouTube. Can we record this and let YouTube know, because they're gonna strike me otherwise?
No,
anyway,
I haven't copyrighted it, so.
Awesome. Besides that, it's very fascinating. So when I checked out your Twitter feed and some stuff, I came across so many things that I thought, this guy is too close to you. Like I found Huberman references, My First Million, Casey Neistat. You've been doing protein cookies. You have a child which is waking up very early, so you can't do your morning routine. I'm like, this is exactly my life, basically.
Awesome.
So yeah, you seem to be into especially Huberman and life improvements. Are you adopting any of the stuff he's telling, or do you try to incorporate that into your day?
Yes, of course. As almost every tech bro, I'm into Huberman. I don't listen to him a lot lately, but for a few things I learned. One, if I would say one main thing is to view sunlight. So I open a window like in my home just after waking up. If I can, I go out with my dog to take also view sunlight. But the most crucial one was like skipping the caffeine for the first 2 hours of the day. I've noticed like the crash afternoon wasn't happening anymore. So this was really beneficial for me to implement that.
Yeah, I think especially for developers,
Yeah.
that will be a very hard habit to adopt. I tried it as well myself to like just 90 minutes later. The problem is I get up like, I don't know, 6:30 or something, 7 a.m. And then I usually like half an hour later, I do a workout in the garden because I have a home gym and we have an outdoor
awesome.
rack, so I can do squats or go running or whatever. And I noticed that just my performance for the workout drops if I don't drink my coffee before
Yeah,
it. So
of course.
now I get up and just get my coffee. So yeah, adopt what works for you. But this is definitely something everyone should at least give a try and see how it affects the day. Because yeah, as you said, you can sometimes prevent like this afternoon down. Quickly, just on that note, another thing that I actually just did before recording this is non-sleep deep rest. So there are interesting videos on YouTube or even Spotify, it is not meditation. It is basically just lying on the bed and hearing, like listening a bit to your voice and also going through the body, the different parts, and you fall into like this state you might know from in the mornings when you wake up, but then you fall asleep again, like this switch between sleep and wake. And I don't know, I feel really refreshed after these non-sleep deep rest sessions, or yoga nidra is what they call it as well.
Okay.
So
I think I've heard that somewhere. There's a healthy gamer guy on YouTuber. I would say there is.
I'm pretty sure there's one.
Yeah, he has a really great YouTube channel. I believe it's Healthy Gamer. He's a psychologist, and he mentioned. I listened to one episode of him mentioning the yoga nidra. Yeah, and is it working for you?
It definitely is. So I do it on days when the night wasn't perfect, and like 20 or 30 minutes, and usually afterwards I feel better. Like in the past I tried these power naps or whatever, and I usually felt crushed afterwards, but after non-sleep deep rest I usually feel good, and then I drink a coffee and then I'm perfectly ready for the afternoon. So
awesome.
Already 2 tips for all the cool tech pros out there. Postpone your coffee intake. Also get sunlight in the eyes, as Pavel said. It's important to open the windows and not just look through the windows.
Yeah.
Don't wear any glasses. And then you're ready to build awesome React Native apps. So let's talk about your awesome React Native app. You are actually working on one right now.
Yes.
It is called Fitmate. It will launch in August. I can join the waiting list.
Yes.
What is Fitmate? How did you came up with the idea? Tell me more about it.
So I came up with the idea a few years back. If I take a look on somewhere in between 2 or 3 years ago, I just the idea is simple. That connects people together who wants to do sports together. I moved from my hometown city to a little bit bigger city. Sometimes I would like to play squash with someone or tennis, and I had a friend with whom I played squash, but now he doesn't have time. So I thought maybe that could be a good idea to implement an application that will allow people who maybe not stay at the same place and don't have a group of friends who's interested in the same things, to maybe let anyone post an event. I want to play then and then. And you can post an event that you want to play squash there at that place, and somebody will ask you to join, and you can accept, and then you connect through the chat on the app, and yeah, that's the general idea.
That sounds interesting, definitely. And is this, by the way, your first idea? Because from your tweets, I get the impression you're also very much into the indie hacking scene. Is this
Yeah.
your first try, or were there other apps and projects before?
This is not my first project, but this will be the first side project I will actually launch. Because well, you may say I had one project which I launched. It was my blog, which I'm not updating anymore. It's selfmadedev.com if anybody is interested. And basically, the idea was to be a person who I didn't have when I was learning programming. So I was writing about the beginnings of how to learn this and that, React Native, mostly focused on React Native stuff. And yeah, I was writing a few articles on React Native. But then my son was born, and I actually didn't have enough time to focus on that. So. And the idea died in my head, so I didn't want to continue doing that. I had other mobile apps ideas, but that didn't work out. I didn't finish them.
Yeah, I have also a graveyard of those kind of projects. So we're going to get into Fitmate and the technical stuff in a second. Just want to get to know, how did you get actually in contact with React and React Native? Like, what's your story about learning React Native? How did you pick it up and when?
It was like I started learning programming in 2016, so you would say not so long ago. But basically, I wanted to create a mobile app, and I wanted to change jobs because I worked in logistics and I didn't like it. Wasn't for me. And when I started learning, I had a friend who actually changed jobs from being a professional musician to coder too. And he recommended me to learn JavaScript. So I was learning JavaScript, and then I found about React. I found that there are a lot of jobs, remote jobs for React. So I applied to one job, I believe, for a React developer, and they asked me, maybe you can try React Native, and then I found out, you can make mobile apps with React. So I jumped right in, and the rest is history. And from that day, I started working in React Native since January 2017.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, 2016 is still pretty early for React Native and the whole React Native ideas. So compared to your start, is it a lot better right now? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's much better. It's much better right now. Like when I started learning this in 2000. No, I started working on React Native app on 2018. But React Native I was in 2017, so 1 year difference. It's much different. Back then, Expo wasn't so good like that. Right now, whenever I start working on any React Native project, I'm starting from Expo. Like you can basically do. Like most of applications are CRUDs either way, so the Expo can handle it if you want to. But if you want to add the native model that Expo doesn't support, you can add it too using Expo. So thanks to the dev builds. So I really like the Expo environment right now. But back then you would have to use experimental something. There was something like that when you.
There was also Expo eject when you want to do the native part.
Yeah, so when I started, like not a lot of people were using Expo. For the first 2 or 3 years, I was working mainly on projects that used React Native the CLI React Native CLI, but it changed around, I would say, maybe 2 years ago. Expo became much better, and I started recommending when I was in the new projects. I started recommending using Expo too, and I was glad. I was glad we chose every time we chose Expo. I was glad we did. One time we actually we chosen Expo, but they didn't have the Expo dev models yet. But so we just ejected, and that was it. We could work further with the native React Native CLI.
Yeah, I feel completely the same about Expo. I mean, I'm kind of new still to the React Native world. I've been using other tools before. So when I came back to React Native, there was Expo and React Native CLI, and I quickly figured out that basically everyone today is using Expo. And then I looked at the different ways you can use Expo, or you can, let's say, break out of Expo with like your custom dev client build, or even with Expo pre-build if you don't fear to touch like an Xcode or Android Studio project. And then I noticed that I actually don't see any limitations. Like, just get started. And if you really need to go into some native stuff, then you can just do it with Expo. Like, you can write your own local modules now even, which is super easy. Or B, let's just do your pre-build, and then you're free to do whatever you want.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
so I assume Fitmate is also using Expo then.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about the tech stack. I read a few of your articles, so I figured out that the tech stack for Fitmate is Expo with a Firebase backend and using Nativebase for UI. Is that
perfect?
Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And tell me about the different choices and why you made them.
Okay. Well, I'm using Expo because there's like in terms of well, I explained that previously. Expo can do everything right now, so so I started working with Expo, and it's working fine. The Firebase library. I've learned Firebase and worked with Firebase on different projects, and so this was the most knowledgeable backend service I know. So
it was not a decision like Firebase for a specific reason because it's using NoSQL. It was just I have used Firebase before I know about Firebase, so let's just stick to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I try to write my code the way that I separate the connection to the database from the UI components. So whenever I would like to change it, maybe for a custom backend made on Node, maybe if the app grows, that will be a good choice. But I believe that transition could be quite easily done. But like for now, until I have like 1 million users, I believe that won't be that expensive to use Firebase. So
I think it's a perfect choice for that project.
Yeah, I believe too, because the push notifications I have are also going through the Firebase, and chat is going also through the Firebase. For me it's like perfect project. I know how to go around Firebase console. I had a friend that helped me because that helped me with some setting up because he had like a bit more knowledge on setting up chat, I would say. He was like he's a full stack developer, so I had a friend actually who helped me like figure out how to do it properly, and I believe it's done pretty good right now. And yeah, so that's Firebase is I also use it for Alf, so like there wasn't a better choice for this app for me. Why native base?
Yeah, let's wait with Nativebase. Quick question about Firebase. So you're using authentication, which is super easy with Firebase. By the way, if anyone is not hasn't used Firebase, Firebase is like backend as a service. You get a NoSQL database, you get authentication, and you get like 20 other things out of the box that you can basically just toggle on with a click in Firebase. And it's actually one of the most used backends, I think, for mobile applications. I think mobile developers just don't want to write their own backend, and they just want to use them. And Firebase, to be honest, is great. It's just great. But it's Google, and sometimes people get like a bit worried about the cost. Like if you make a wrong query and query too many documents, like this can sometimes skyrocket. But I don't hope this will happen in your case. But that also might mean you have a lot of users.
Let's hope I have this kind of problems. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So are you using Firestore for storing data?
Yes,
Are you using authentication with Firebase? Are you using anything else? I assume you would probably use storage for uploading files, or is there any?
Yes. The files, yes, I'm using storage for storing the avatars. I don't store
any other
anything
service?
Push notifications.
I know they have like dynamic URLs or even like app debugging stuff, but
I don't use the debugging stuff.
Okay.
What else? Firestore, storage, and push notifications.
Awesome.
And and authentication, of course.
Yeah, definitely. So I would love to know actually how you implemented the chat. Maybe you can quickly like sketch out how this works. I mean, you got like the real-time collections and you can add data. Does it simply work like that, and then you have like a subscription of some kind collection, or do you have to implement like your custom functions and RTC or anything?
No, there's a great library. Let me check in the code. I forgot the name of this library. It's oh my god, Gifted Chat, React Native Gifted Chat. I'm using React Native Gifted Chat, open source library, which is great. Basically the way it works, I subscribe to the Firestore where the chat is stored, and it updates in real time, and whenever there's a new message, it shows on both users' screen. React Native Gifted Chat is really good open source library for chat UI. I didn't have to implement anything
That's cool.
by myself. Like I just styled it a bit, and that was it. You pass like basically an array to the chat with the data of messages, and that's it. That's
awesome.
Simple. Subscribe to Firestore chat and pass it to React Native Gifted Chat, and that's it. I'm the developer that I don't like reinventing the wheels all the times, and this is my side project which I'm really planning to launch soon. So I don't want to focus on creating my own solution for everything.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I followed the same approach in the past, and if there's something to add the chat, that's awesome. Also, overall, it's quite interesting how easy that works with Firebase, like with the real-time data and subscribing, and you magically see the data on both screens. Like when I did this the first time, my mind was.
So the same way here.
So that's cool. Also, I really love that you're like abstracting the logic into whatever custom hook or file, so you can eventually swap Firebase for something else in the future. I might adopt that because that's actually a really smart move on your end. But I don't know how easy it works with like the subscriptions to data and passing that around in the React Native application.
That one isn't that easy. For chat, there is a basic. There is a subscription on the chat screen, of course. Here I would have to like work a bit more about. But for the rest of the requests, I just have a requests file with all the requests to the Firebase, and whenever I would need to change that to any other backend, I would just change the request in this file. I wouldn't have to change it in the component that calls that request. So yeah.
I don't know. Can you use anything like 10-stack query with Firebase, or does that actually make sense from like any kind of state management or caching?
Probably you can, but I don't use it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just adding complexity on top. And when you're doing a side project, as you said, you like can't have all the bells and whistles figured out. Yeah. So talking about bells and whistles, are you using Nativebase for the UI?
Yeah.
I also used Nativebase for a course on Galaxies on my course platform. And I found it, let's say, interesting. So I used it because I thought it was the most used UI library for React Native back then, and maybe it is still to this date. But on the other hand, I've seen images of Nativebase is slow, and my own experience was that some buttons and some stuff, it's actually not looking that great. Like it looked somewhat outdated. So what's your experience of using Nativebase, and why did you select it?
I haven't actually till like last week. I was trying to figure out something. Why they changing the Nativebase to GlueStack?
GlueStack, yeah.
Yeah, they implementing some other headless component library. I'm not. I don't yet know like the reasons. And I haven't myself encountered if it's slow. I test it on the real device. I see it works the same as using the React Native style sheet. So I basically chose it because the way you can style it components, like you use the like Tailwind like syntax to add in each component margins, paddings, etc.
Yeah, like row and VStack and stuff.
Yeah. I really like it. It's just quick to develop an UI. I wanted. I don't feel like it's outdated. It's really easy. I think it's really easy to like implement your own design using this library. For me, it's really quick. This is why I'm using it. I started to think about if I should, like, if I have any projects in the future, if I should still use that library, because they'll stop. I think they stop supporting it sometime. But for now, I feel it's good. It works great with Expo, and it enables me to style it my way.
Yeah, from a screenshot of your application, I can definitely say that it looks good in your application. Like you have a consistent styling and it looks good. I just sometimes felt like I come from a different web background, and I've been using Ionic framework, and they have also like all these cool components, and just buttons feel a bit more like they look on iOS, or on Android they look like Android. And I feel like the native based stuff usually looked like very flat or plain. But of course, you can always make it look however you want.
Yeah, sure. I agree to that. It can be that. I used to just one more thing. Previously I used the React Native paper library, which is good too. I don't know why I changed to native base. I think I changed native base when they changed it to 3.0, because I used native base actually as like when I was learning React Native in 2017, 18 or 18, and that was like my first encounter with any custom library, and I didn't like it then. But when I saw what they did in the third version of native base, I really liked the approach. That's why I chose it.
Yeah, it fascinates me how many UI libraries for React Native are out there, and I mean, many of them are great. You just brought up like the two most popular, Native Base and React Native Paper. Then they're all like this, what's it called? I think Native Wind, which allows you to use Tailwind today.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, there's Tamagui getting all the hype lately. And I mean, there are at least like 5 other styling libraries you could select, and they would all work pretty well, I assume.
Yeah.
I just fear that, for example, with native base, you got all these VStack, XY things on your components. And my own fear would be that if I want to transition to something else in the future, it would be really painful.
Yeah.
I guess you don't consider transitioning to anything unless you have 1 million users, right?
No, I don't feel like I would have the need to change it. I understand that, but when I worked on some projects in the past, I usually had the approach that when I worked in team, we built a folder of components, either way, reusable components, and then reuse it into build more complex components. That way we could have like a managed library. I actually worked on one components library a few years ago. It was like closed beta, closed source. It wasn't open source, and so I thought okay. What can I use that will be quick and faster to work on? And that was native base for me. And I haven't. Maybe when I'll start a new project someday in the future, maybe I'll take a look at other solutions. But right now, I'm really happy with my choice.
Yeah, you use what works for you.
Yeah,
that's a very common scheme on this podcast. So,
anything but styles components. I don't like it.
I got one more technical question. As you mentioned push notifications before.
Yeah.
How are you using push notifications in your app? Because usually push notifications, they can either like react to Firebase changes in your database. For example, a chat message is added and then you trigger a push, or when like, I don't know, somebody schedules a date, or you could of course also have your own backend and do something with push. Like, what's the flow of push notifications in your app, and where do you use it? It
works like you said it. It reacts to changes in the Firestore database, basically, and also I'm using the Expo notifications module. Basically, I've added, for example, there aren't many push notifications for me, but basically. When you get a request that somebody wants to join your event created by you, you get the notification. When the request is answered, you also get the notification. And yeah, I need to add one more notification when you receive a new message. And I still need to add that. But basically, this reacts to changes in the Firestore. Basically, I sent a request to update the Firestore, and the request is user A wants to join user B, and the request status is pending. Whenever that event status pending in the Firestore object changes, the user that gets answer gets a push notification too.
So you have this setup of, is it I think it's a cloud function, right? Or a cloud trigger or whatever it's called. And then is it making just like an HTTP call to the Expo servers with the Expo push token? Because actually this morning I implemented push notifications for a course. And there's a cool Expo tool to test this. And overall, my experience with Expo was great because you can use like curl against their API, or they get like tons of SDKs even for Python or Go. But I assume in your functions, you're just making an HTTP call against the API.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this has been really great. Some really great technical information if anyone out there is building a Firebase application with React Native as well. To wrap it up, I got some quick questions for you. I got 5 quick questions, which you can hopefully quickly answer. Are you prepared and ready for the quick fire round?
No, but okay.
Okay, then let's go. First question, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Yes, right answer. Perfect.
Never watched
question.
Star Trek.
Good boy. Next question, Mac or Windows?
Mac.
Okay, another Mac user. Great, me too. Your favorite IDE?
VS Code.
Yes, like everyone these days. Now this one getting a bit harder probably. What's the latest discovered package, library, or service that you can recommend? Maybe something cool or anything that comes to your mind?
In terms of coding or no?
Yes. I mean, it can also be in general developer tools if you got like a cool service that we should check out.
The obvious answer is ChatGPT. But to be more specific, for React Native developers, the React Native gifted chat library is really good, really easy to implement, so I recommend trying it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to put that link in the show notes. And the last question is, what was your latest useful purchase? Could be anything, doesn't have to be related to coding.
Okay, this I will show you to the camera. This is my latest useful purchase.
Okay, this is a good information. You can also find these episodes on YouTube, by the way, if you want to see what Pavel is holding.
Okay,
I think it's a loading thing.
Yeah, it's a charger.
Charging.
You can charge 3 things at the same time: phone, Apple Watch, and AirPods. So I really recommend buying this. This was one of the latest purchases.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I had one before. I don't know why I put it away. Actually, it's pretty cool. I should probably... I mean, I had some problems, like you had to put the cables through, and that was kind of awkward to get... And then I need to change. But yeah, that's a nice purchase. Okay. That was been a great episode. Thank you for joining me. Now you got like 20, 30 seconds to plug anything you want our listeners to check out. So let me know.
Okay, thank you very much, Simon, for inviting me. I forgot to tell you, I checked out your course website. It's really nice to see you see you building a ChatGPT clone, and for anyone who wants to learn how to do React Native, I recommend Simon's website.
Thanks.
So I plugged yours. Now me. So I actually, if you want to try my application out, go to fitmateapp.co. and you can sign for the waiting list. I will release it probably by the end of the August. I don't have the release date because I planned to do it before 15th. I'm not sure if I will be able to, but so that the end of August is the final date for now. Follow me on Twitter, Pavel Karniej, and that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to put all those show links to Fitmate app and to your Twitter profile in the show notes. Also, you can tweet at Pavel if you're looking for a skilled React Native developer. I'm pretty sure Pavel is very skilled in different frameworks, React Native paper I've seen a post about. He's using Nativebase, Firebase. So if you want a skilled developer, check it out. And of course, thanks for plugging already my stuff, but I'm going to say it again. Galaxies.dev is my course platform if you want great React Native courses. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast in your favorite player, and you can also find this on YouTube. Channel should be Rocket Ship Podcast, should also be linked on my main channel, Galaxies Dev. So go check it out, and thanks for joining me, Pavel.
Thank you for inviting me once again. Have a nice day.